So it used to be when it came to Airbus that all the complexity was in the engineering. Building an aeroplane is an incredibly complex thing to do. The operating environment was pretty straightforward. Global growth was good, things were ticking along quite nicely. Is the complexity in Airbus now actually dealing with a more complex operating environment? Trump, trade, Brexit, you name it, there are plenty of things out there. I'm going to ask an engineer this, but is the engineering the easy bit now?
There's a lot of complexity moving forward. It's a fast-changing environment. It's the case for many things, including for technologies, for markets, and also for the environment. So the stakes of ramping up the production becomes a challenging one, and doing business internationally is as well something that becomes more complex.
Do you see this being advantageous to Airbus at the moment? President Trump's picking a trade war with Beijing. Is Airbus going to sell more airplanes in Asia, in China?
We think it's very important that we keep going in an open market, free market. International business is absolutely essential for aviation, and we've been benefiting from this. So we think there's going to be no winner if there are trade wars around the world. As Airbus, we want to keep going, developing global business with many partners around the world, and that's what matters for us.
Do you worry that Europe is now going to get dragged into this? Up until now it's been Washington, Beijing, but the president seems to have an issue with Berlin. Obviously we've seen the relationships over the last few weeks becoming more and more tense. The car sector has been the most obvious kind of victim of all of this thus far, but you guys could be next. And is that something that you talk about a lot?
We don't think so. We think aviation will continue to be so international that, in fact, we are based in the US, in the Americas, in Europe, in Asia, and in China, and we do business across those blocks.
So is BMW, but
it's a very interdependent supply chain. We buy in the US, we sell in the US. Airbus is located as well in terms of production sites in the United States. So we want to believe we'll keep going in that direction. We contribute to linking people, nations, as a business, but more than as a business. So we contribute to an international level of discussion that keeps the world together.
Yeah. Your supply chain is critical to what you do, and I don't have to tell you that. Are they starting to feel some of the pressure coming through? Is there a worry about aluminium? Is there a worry about kind of getting the stuff that they need? How much attention are you paying to the supply chain at the moment?
Yeah, there is anyhow tension in the supply chain in the aviation due to the growth in the production rates. So we can feel that discussing rate 50 to 60 on the single aisle and then preparing the next step. Anyway, we suffer from tensions. It's not only linked to trade, it's also linked to production capacities. But these are the good problems. These are the problems of growth that we like to manage.
CFM have said that they won't even make a decision on ramping up to the next phase. Like you bring up 50 to 60, that was a challenge. Going higher than 60 on the narrow bodies is going to be a stretch. So you've got CFM not making a decision. We've got the Pratt problems with the geared turbofan. How are you going to get the narrow bodies to the next stage? And if I'm a customer coming to you and saying, look, I want a narrow body, when am I going to get one?
So for us, the next stage is already going from 50 to 60, what we are currently doing.
Yep.
Okay? So this is going to take a bit of time. Obviously, as there is a strong demand, we like to look on the long term. And the demand is so strong that we think 60 is not going to be enough. And we are discussing rate 70 and maybe even more. But this is for the beginning of the next decade.
Yep.
So we respect the fact that the engine manufacturers have to solve their current issues with a big ramp up. And then, end of this year, we will be back with them sitting and discussing the next wave of ramp up. But it has to be done in a way which is good enough, so when we take commitment with customers, then we can deliver.
Guillaume, you're one of the new cadre of managers at Airbus. There is a big sort of transition taking place in the management team. Tom's going to be going pretty soon. Harold stepping down, CFO. Fabrice has already gone. You've taken over from him. Is this slowing you guys down? Because as we've already indicated, the world's a pretty complex place right now. You're going through one of the biggest management changes that the business has ever been through. How's it going?
Airbus is a company that relies on several pillars, not only Airbus Commercial, Airbus Defence and Space, Airbus Helicopters. I joined Airbus back 5 years ago as the head of Airbus Helicopters, so I was part of the team already. So we keep going. It's, yes, a lot of people leaving. It's a new generation coming, some from inside. There's a strong management team in Airbus and some coming from outside. These are the transitions, and I think Airbus is managing very well. And I'm very happy to take over in the aviation business in the aircraft business, having spent this time in Airbus, in the management team, but as the guy of helicopters. So that's the nature of moving forward.